months ago, about 80 feet in the air, working on the fore topmast of a 115-year-old sailing ship down at Penn's Landing. And in a moment, some of my crewmates there are going to actually hoist up another piece of the mast for a total of about 90 or so feet in the air. And I remember thinking at the time, how did I get here? Well, a couple of years ago, I was driving to work in New Jersey, and I've been making this morning commute, every day for, about a couple of years by then. And I thought, what's the deal with all these boats? Every once in a while, I see a boat come down the river, and I'd wonder about that. I've been driving over the river for a long time, and so I decided to look into it. And I basically went online and started Googling this and Googling that. And I actually realized this is already a little dated because the duck boats aren't like thing anymore. But I found out a lot of stuff going on, a lot about the history. And one of the things I found out was that there's a large wooden sailing ship down at Penn's Landing. And that it was built for oil, and that it fished off the Grand Banks of Newfoundland for about 30 or 40 years. But since the 70s, it's actually been in Philadelphia, and I've never seen it before. Also, there's an old tugboat that's about as old that was actually built here in Philadelphia. Real historic tugboat, worked up in New York Harbor for a while for Standard Oil Company, was purchased by another company, came back to Philadelphia, and did a lot of cool stuff. A lot of boats coming back from World War II and so forth. And there's also Poplar, which is a barge, serves as a workshop. It does all the things that are needed to, quite literally keep 2-century-old boats afloat and in working order. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. There's this group of people, the Philadelphia Ship Preservation Guild, that has some old boats, and they decide that we're going to preserve these old vessels, and we're going to operate them, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have volunteers, and people will learn things. So I made a trip down to Penn's Landing and met up with some people. I found out anybody could just volunteer. So I headed on down, and I found out that they weren't actually working on the ship that day. They were going down to Delaware to get wood for the ship. So this is the first time I've been down, so I decided, why not? I'll just go down to Delaware. That sounds cool. So here is 2 chainsaws, one opposite the other, basically running a really long chain on a bar, and there's rollers on top, and basically just cutting these giant slabs of wood. Because I was told, the boat's 177 feet long. You can't just go to Home Depot and buy more wood. But that's actually was kind of a special trip, and most of the time the work happens in Philadelphia. This is down at Penn's Landing, right by the Seaport Museum, you see in the background. And it's been really interesting. Met a lot of great people, kind of fit in right away, I think. So since then, a lot of interesting projects. Actually took the boat apart, more or less. The downrigging project involved taking out all the wires, actually pulling the masts out, which are between 70 and 90 feet tall with a crane. I didn't operate the crane, but I got to do a lot of cool climbing. And probably the best part about it, of course, is the people that are involved. And some people have been doing this for years. Some people have just started recently. Some people did it when they were younger and had families and came back when they're in their 60s and 70s. And it's really great because there's lots of different experience levels, and anybody can just sort of get involved. And the other thing I like is that it's allowed me to see Philadelphia in a very different way than I'd been used to. Usually we work on Penn's Landing, but for a while we were working down at the Navy Yard. And lots of really interesting things going on down there. And some of people involved were in the service and know a lot about the history. And there's different things to do. I'm real into climbing and all, but not everybody's into that. There's plenty of work though that takes place, on the deck and below deck and so forth. But it's been a lot of fun. Here's another project, similar to not being able to buy huge long planks of wood. A lot of the hardware and so forth on the ship is made, in-house on the barge, and a lot of cool stuff there. Also, it's not all work. Sometimes we, go and do really cool stuff like take the dories, which are small fishing boats that, are the exact same model that would have been used during its commercial fishing career, out, in this case, a small, parade. Last summer, Tall Ships Philadelphia Camden came to town, and we had the ship open, showed a lot of people the boat, gave them tours and so forth. So that was a lot of fun. And so really the biggest thing, the most important thing probably, is the fact that it's a ship and you want to go sailing. And what fun that is. We went down to Baltimore and Norfolk, Virginia this past summer. A lot of the work that we did, it was really great to finally, take the ship out and actually go sailing. Overall, basically, I'd like to see more people get involved in this organization. But, if it's not really your cup of tea, I'd like to encourage you all to go out and explore your interests. I didn't know anything about this kind of thing before I started. I got an opportunity, and I think, it's good to check things out. If you are interested, you could go to gazella.org. You could also, come up to me afterwards. Thank you for your time.